I want to go across now live and exclusive to the Union Minister for Communications and the Development of the Northeast region. Jyotiraditya Scindia joins us live. Minister, welcome. You know, we were having this big raging conversation about why the government could not meet its target for spending on public infrastructure. You know, there's a big boost in the allocation for public infrastructure. Last year, the government couldn't achieve that target. And therefore, all the pundits in our studio and elsewhere are wondering, you know, the government needs to fully explain why that happened. What's the guarantee that the allocations that have been made this year will actually be realized? Welcome, sir.
So, Rahul, it's a pleasure to be on your show, and through you, my best wishes to all our viewers. This has been a landmark budget. It's a budget that very clearly defines that India is on her path to becoming a Atmanirbhar country, a country which is a Viksit country, a country that is going to grow into the third largest economy by 2027. From currently the fifth largest economy, an economy that's going to be a $5 trillion economy by 2026 and a $6.5 trillion economy by 2030. It's a budget that very clearly identifies the four pillars of that growth, and that is very clearly the Garib, the Annadata, the Yuva and the Mahila. And the importance that has been given to agriculture, whether it's been through the 1.5 lakh crore credit increase for 7.17 crore farmers across the length and breadth of our country, or the oilseeds and pulses mission, the cotton mission, the Makhana mission, and the investment into the economy, much what you talked about. The capex target that has been already met by December 31st is 10.8 lakh crores. The target for this year, of which there is still 3 months left, is 11 lakh crores. I'm very confident that we will very comfortably meet that target. There's even a higher target that's been put for next year. There is a tremendous amount of importance being given to the current schemes to attain 100% saturation, such as the Har Ghar Nala Yojana, which will attain 100% saturation by 2028. Tremendous amount of focus on infrastructure, including roads, airports, Udan scheme, as well as the railways, and most importantly on technology, because technology is what's going to power the globe, and most importantly India to be a leader in that globe. And the telecom sector is going to play a huge role in that growth path. And therefore, I welcome wholeheartedly the Center of Excellence for AI, the funding of deep tech, a 10,000 crore fund being put together, and also the huge amount of reform on direct and indirect taxes. Never before in the history of our country have we seen a progressive tax regime that allows for a greater amount of income in the hands of our taxpayer for him or her to take the decision between consumption, investment and savings. You've seen that happen for the first time in the last 10 years of Prime Minister Modi's rule, where from a 2.5 lakh level of tax exemption, we've gone successively to 5 lakhs in 2015, to 7.5 lakhs in 2019, to 9 lakhs in 2023, and now 12 lakhs. And similarly on the indirect tax regime, where we are going to cut it down to 8 slabs, including the 0% rate, come out with a simplified direct tax code, and most importantly, all of this keeping in mind fiscal prudence. We are ending up with a 4.8% fiscal deficit this year. The target for next year is 4.4%, which means a reduction of 400 basis points, even though, Rahul, the FRBM talks about 4.5% for FY26. So we're actually 100 basis points below the FRBM target. So I'd like to, from the bottom of my heart, as a citizen of India, thank the Prime Minister and thank the Finance Minister for coming out with a most amazing budget that will propel India and all its citizens forward.
Shankar Iyer has a question for you, Minister.
Good evening, Mr. Scindia. Your department posts has a mention in paragraph 26 about being a catalyst for rural commerce and stuff. I had two questions. Why is the India Post still only a payment bank? It has more branches than most banks have. Why isn't it a full-fledged bank? And the second, post offices world over are being deployed as logistics company. Isn't it time we sort of liberated India Post from its old role and created it a logistic company, corporatized it, maybe list it? I mean, I remember writing about listing India Post maybe 20 years back, and we have still sort of crawled to the point where it is still a payments bank. I think it's a disservice to the spread, reach, and the potential of India Post that it continues to be only a payment bank.
So I think, Shankar, you're both right and you're wrong. Let me just clarify this for you. The India Post Payments Bank is a wholly owned subsidiary of India Post. It's only one of the verticals of India Post. The India Post Payments Bank has done a yeoman's job in the last 3 to 4 years of its inception. Let me give you some of the details on that. We were supposed to break even by FY 27-28. I'm glad to report to you that we have already broken even this year in the 9-month results between you and I as a post payments bank is concerned. We have close to about 11.5 crore customers as on date. To answer your query in terms of transforming into a full-fledged bank, you're very aware that the RBI has very strict regulations between what can be a commercial bank and what can be a post-payments bank. And it's not that it's easy to fungibly twin both of those aspects. You cannot do that under the current regulatory regime. But having said that, as I mentioned, this is only one vertical of India Post. India Post is a most amazing organization. You're absolutely right. We have 165,000 points of sale. We are probably the largest distribution network, not in India, but the largest distribution network in the world. We have close to about 2.75 lakh Grameen Dak Sevaks, whose one mission in life is Dak Seva, Jan Seva. This is the motto that I had evolved with them way back in 2008 when I was a Minister of State in this department. We are looking forward exactly on the lines that you're talking about. We have traced the path of many postal organizations across the world, from Japan Post to La Poste in France, to Royal Mail in the UK, to US Mail, to DHL in Germany. And we are looking, and that's why the Finance Minister talked about moving India Post into a logistics organization. We have made close to a 2-hour presentation to the Finance Minister. I'm in the process with the department of doing a business process restructuring exercise. We are coming out with our own software 2.0 product, which will digitize our whole system end-to-end seamless for our customer. Third, we are also coming out with a DigiPin code, which is very much like DigiYatra, which is what you experienced with me in civil aviation. So we are geocoding every single address across the length and breadth of this country. So when Shankar Iyer goes and resides in some place, that geocoded DigiPin address will be attributed to him. And when he moves out and Mr. Rahul Kanwal moves in, it will be then attributed to him. So these are all processes that we are putting in. We have 6 verticals between life insurance, post office savings bank, parcels, mails, international mails, and citizen-centric services. We're looking at all of those 6 verticals, looking at the value chain for each, doing an operations exercise across all of them, consolidating a lot of their operations into hub and spoke. And I'd love to spend some time with you on this and with Rahul in terms of what we've got cooking at India Post. So we have great plans for the next couple of years. We are today a cost center for the government of India, and it's our hope in the next 5 years to turn it hopefully into a profit center for government of India.
I hope you list it. I hope it will be listed. I hope it will be listed like all the good public sector units like State Bank of India and LIC.
I mean, having Yeah, that's certainly our ambition, but I think it's important not to put the cart before the horse. Having been an investment banker in my last life, I think it's very important to come out with a value proposition and a product. And once you're able to do that, then the listing is it's an eventuality. It has to happen.
One last question before you let me go, Minister Scindia. Your government speaks of a Viksit Bharat by 2047 that requires a real GDP growth rate of at least 8% plus. The government set a target of 6.3 to 6.8% of growth for next year. Why was the government not more ambitious in taking a bigger target and then doing what was required to try and achieve it? If we grow at 6.4% this year, 6.3 to 6.8 next year, then we're not going to achieve that target that your Prime Minister, that our Prime Minister and this government has set for itself.
So Rahul, how do I satisfy you? With you, I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. I think it's important for you, Rahul, to go back to do a little bit of research and look at how economies across the world have transformed themselves. The power of growing into a economic powerhouse is not necessarily rates of growth themselves, but is the power of compounding. If you look at the United States of America, has grown at average of 2.5–3%, but it's grown at that rate for 100 years, which is what has transformed the United States of America. If you look at India's growth rate in perspective with the rest of the world, in the last fiscal has grown at roughly between 2.5 to 2.75% across the world. India has grown at 6.8%. So we've grown at close to about 4,000 basis points above the world. Yes, we have aspirations. Yes, we will deliver on those aspirations for you and for our country. That's our commitment and that's our resolve. But I think it's also important to be realistic, and I think it's important to ensure that you are able to deliver on whatever you have promised. And therefore, when I talked about the growth rate, when I talked about the fiscal deficit, these are realistic numbers which shall be met by our government.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia, for joining us. Thank you very much. You have an interesting plan on what you hope to do with India Post. It will be fascinating to see how it plays out on the ground. Thank you for taking out time, sir.
Thank you so much, Rahul. Pleasure. Thank you.